Hello. It's 9:30 p.m. No, it's not. It's 12:13 p.m. I was about to say it's 109 episode of Franchise The.
Yes, it's episode 110.
Oh, my syntax and my numbering are off today, gang. I'm your host with the least, Daniel Ehrenberg.
I'm your host, Henry Papali. What's going on? What's going on, everybody? Hope you're having a lovely day when you're listening to this, or night. And we hope we're bringing you a laugh and a joy.
Salutations.
Salutations, greetings, friends, Roman, and countrymen.
I'll tell you what we're covering today, Hank. Yep.
Yeah.
It's Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
That's right. What's your relationship to the Mission Impossible? Now, this was, it came out to us originally in 1996 during an era where we were doing a lot of movie covers of old TV shows.
Okay.
So, there was the Beverly Hillbillies. There was the Addams Family. There was the Brady Bunch movie.
Wow.
There was The Fugitive. Previous episode. There
Right.
was, what else was going on?
I don't know, man. That was a really good call on your point. I didn't anticipate that.
Sure.
That was happening.
That's
Sure.
what we were doing in the 90s. Every old TV show got remade into a big budget live action movie. The Flintstones. All right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were all around. The Mod Squad. All right?
The
movie.
Avengers.
The Avengers. That's the original Avengers with Uma and
Rafe.
Fiennes, I think. Yeah.
Fine Rafe.
Yeah. Sean Connery controlled the weather. Okay? Now,
Yes.
Mission Impossible was one of those, okay? It was a big TV show in the 60s. It had been revived a few times with the original cast. I have never watched a single second of this TV show.
I don't think I have either, dude.
Yeah. But, people love it. Peter Graves was the star of it.
Right.
And but it was a big ensemble cast, and that was all the cast of the original show hated the Mission Impossible movie.
Right. Martin Landau.
Right. Landau was one of them, and they rebelled. They were annoyed that it was an ensemble piece being turned into a
Solo vehicle.
a star vehicle.
Right.
And I'll say I can understand why fans of the TV show hated this movie, because the character John Voight plays was like the main character in the TV show,
Right.
and he flat out turns out to be a villain.
Right. Yeah. I remember that at the time. Yeah, exactly. I remember that backlash being didn't mean anything to me because I had never seen the show, and I was 17 or 18 when I saw it, and I had I didn't even consider that. So, and really never have. But I guess, sure, if you grew up with that, I guess it'd be pretty bad to be watching something that you hold dear and see your main protagonist turn into the antagonist.
Right. It'd be like, for me, if 30 years hence, in 2017, they made a Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie, and halfway through the movie, you find out that Buffy is the villain.
Right.
That'd be a bummer.
It'd be heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
All right, so we have here Mission Impossible. It was in development for quite a long time before it was released. Sidney Pollack was set to direct at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah. That didn't happen. Ultimately, it comes to Brian De Palma, sort of making his first big franchise movie.
Definitely.
First and last, really.
I guess so. Yeah.
Because, he'd had a couple flops in the early 90s. I think this was a way to resurrect that old career.
Yeah.
He'd done Raising Cain and Bonfire of the Vanities and shit.
Well, they might have been like money flops, but I mean, he also did like Carlito's Way prior to this. And
Oh,
so
that's true. That was kind of a hit. Maybe
It was-
Carlito's
I don't
Way
know if-
actually propelled him to get the offer for this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it was a hit, but it was a critical
I think
hit,
it did
so-
well. I think it did well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Pacino in the 90s was minting money.
That's true.
Yeah. I mean, in the early 90s. He'd sort of...
Hooah!
All right. You okay over there?
Nah, I had something cut in my throat.
Okay. Now, Mission Impossible comes to us. They put all the top writers in Hollywood on this movie. Okay?
Yeah, it's always, every time, even though I know it, it's always a surprise when I see Robert Towne's name on there.
There's 3 huge writers attached to this movie. So Robert Towne, you said that one. And obviously it's just cobbled together from individual drafts. But
Very obviously, yeah.
I imagine Robert Towne probably did a lot of the plotting for this movie because it is complicated. I needed that Wikipedia plot entry
baby.
open this entire time.
I was so glad actually to rewatch this because I've seen this movie many times, and it took me a while to understand the plot, and by a while I mean years. And on this watching, I did realize very clearly what some of the problems are, and we'll get to it when we get into the movie.
There's a couple too
specifically
many like fake heel turns. It's
Well, there's also some problem. There's one massive problem with some editing, and I don't really blame De Palma or the editor. I mean, I blame the screen. It's kind of everybody's fault, I think. The way for me, it still works. It doesn't really matter, but it was very glaring to me what was going on that was wrong.
okay. Well, we'll get there.
Yeah.
I had only seen this movie once.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay, I saw it in theaters in 1996. I was 9.
You haven't seen this at all since then.
No.
Wow.
And you know why I think it is? I didn't really like it that much because I was 9, and it's impossible.
course.
It's hard to follow as an adult.
Of course, absolutely.
So, like, I
Absolutely.
remember at the time liking him, suspended on wires, and
Right,
I
right,
liked him with the train, but the actual machinations of the plot were something of a mystery to me.
Of course.
So yeah, with 3 writing credits: Robert Towne, from Chinatown fame, David
Yeah.
Koepp, who was hot shit in Hollywood at the time, fresh off of Jurassic Park, and Steven Zaillian.
Wow.
What had he done?
Schindler's List, right?
Oh, I think that's right. Yeah, I think he maybe won an Oscar for that. But he'd written a ton of shit. I remember after this he did a Civil Action. I think he did Searching for Bobby Fischer. Is that right?
Well, I mean, I know after this, I know he had done Gangs of New York, Moneyball, and he's done a ton of shit. But he
He got rewritten to shit on Moneyball
Oh, did he?
by Aaron Sorkin.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, right.
But he
got a ton of stuff.
he did
yeah.
Clear and Present Danger. That's probably how he got the job for this movie.
Yeah, I'm looking at him right now. Yeah, I think you're right. That's probably the one. Because
Mm-hmm.
after that, his career, he's fine. Like, even if it's not good stuff.
No, he's remained a big presence in Hollywood.
Yeah, and most.
Sometimes as a director too.
That's right, and he's written the new Scorsese movie, The Irishman.
The Irishman.
Yeah, and he wrote The Night Of, which was
Yeah,
great.
yeah, people like that.
Yeah. So,
All right, so Mission Impossible comes out right in the heart of summer. This was right around the time May was first becoming a big summer month,
right.
and so this comes out May 22nd, Memorial Day weekend, 1996, with a big budget of $80 million. But it's a hit. It's a hit and a half. Box office of 457.7. It should also be noted, Tom Cruise was just the biggest shit in the world at this point.
This is true.
All right, and he produced this movie with his producing partner Paula Wagner.
Yeah.
And he kind of shepherded its development. I think he hired all these writers and shit.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, 1996. That's the same year as Jerry Maguire.
Yeah, he was no pun intended. He was going nuts around this time.
Yeah, yeah. It's almost as though Paramount Pictures said to him, "Show me the money," and he did.
Yes.
Yeah, he showed them the money.
He did show them the money so much that I was thinking about this while I was watching the sequel, MI2. I was thinking about how much time he spent on Eyes Wide Shut, because I remember they were bookended essentially. He did this, and then he like went, because I've read so much about Eyes Wide Shut. He like met with Kubrick, went over to with Kubrick, spent so long on that movie, comes right out of that movie, goes into MI2.
Well, I think he did
Minority
Magnolia.
Report.
I think he did Magnolia between Eyes Wide Shut and Mission Impossible.
Right,
too.
but I mean,
because
right.
he's still got that Frank T.J. Mackey hair in Mission
Right, well,
Impossible.
and the Eyes Wide Shut hair. Yeah,
right. It's just sort of, it's like greasy in Magnolia, but he feathers it for Mission
the Vanilla
Impossible
Sky
too.
hair. He kept it for
It is,
a while.
yeah, it's total Vanilla Sky hair.
Yeah.
All right, so this is how much power Tom Cruise had on Mission Impossible. Alan Silvestri was the composer.
Yeah.
And he shit-canned Alan. He didn't like the score. Shit-canned Alan Silvestri, hired Danny Elfman.
And let me tell you something. I didn't look up who did the score till about a certain point in the movie. I think the aquarium sequence, because there's a theme, and I was like, boy, does that sound like Back to the Future. And I look it up, and it's Danny Elfman. I'm like, Danny Elfman doesn't usually, at least at this time, or rip off other people. And then I read more and then saw the Alan Silvestri thing, and it's like, oh, I get it, because they clearly kept that. There's a theme in there that goes dun 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 dun. It's like,
Danny Elfman was a better choice for this movie though, because Silvestri's kind of he usually writes a nice soaring score.
Yeah, a lot of brass.
Yeah, whereas this movie, which I didn't remember because like I didn't know who Brian De Palma was when I was 9 years old. Like it feels like a Brian De Palma movie, which means it feels like a Hitchcock movie.
Yeah, it really does, and I think that also we'll get into it, but the cinematographer too, Stephen Burham. There's a lot of angles and weird shots that totally work. And
it's definitely one of those movies, like Hitchcock did this a lot, where it's like they've got the wrong man, and he's like on the run. Right. I gotta clear my name.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
but also, I mean, like, actually, to get back to the aquarium scene, but like it called attention to itself, but in a good way, as only a good director can. It doesn't look gimmicky, like when they're shooting Tom Cruise and Henry Czerny kind of cockeyed, like real close and like diagonally, and I'm like, boy, that is such a De Palma thing. But it's also this cinematographer who did Hoffa.
Yes, it's one of my favorite cinematographers.
He's really
What's
good.
The guy's name? I was looking at his credits. He's like made all my favorite movies.
Yeah, he's great. Stephen Burham. Yeah, he's an American guy. Done a lot of stuff.
Stephen Burham.
Yeah, I mean, not everything good, but he's a De Palma kind of regular. He did The Untouchables, Raising Cain, Carlito's Way, Snake Eyes.
My favorite.
Mission to Mars. Yeah.
But what else has he done? I
Rumblefish, Body Double.
Well, that's another. So he works with De Palma a lot. He did War of the Roses, so he clearly works with Danny DeVito a lot, because Hoffa and War of the Roses.
That's right.
Yeah. He did St. Elmo's Fire. He did The Outsiders. He did The Entity. He's done like a lot of movies.
Yeah, he really
has.
Like
good movies. He's got an amazing track record.
He's like the greatest cinematographer you've never heard of.
Yeah.
I've never heard of his name in my life. But yeah.
And then his last movie was Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen, and then he retired.
Yeah.
He's like, I can't do this
I
shit.
can't do it. I'm done.
I know. All right. So he also worked on the original Cosmos.
Yeah, I didn't. Oh, the Carl Sagan show?
Yeah.
Wow.
How about that?
Cool guy.
Yeah, cool guy. All right. But, so this movie came in at number 3 in the box office for 1996.
Makes sense.
Here's the top 5 I wrote down.
All right.
Number 5, Gimme Back My Son. It's Ransom.
Right. Right.
Number 4, Show Me the Money. It's Jerry Maguire.
Mm.
Yeah. Number 3, Mission Impossible.
Oh, I thought Charlie Brown had come out with a movie or
No.
something.
Number 2, whoa, it's a cow. Twister.
Oh,
All right. And number 1, Welcome to Earth. Identifier. Oh, I wrote down ID. Sorry, Independence Day. I wrote down ID4 and confused myself.
Identifier.
Yeah, Identifier.
Great film. Great film.
Top movie of 1996.
Chris Nolan early film.
Ugh. It'd be boring. All right. We have a couple lists here for you. The top 10 movies of 1996, our favorites. And we also ranked every Brian De Palma movie.
Yeah.
All right, let's do this 1996 list real quick because I'm excited
Right.
about the Brian De Palma ranking.
Right, exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. All right. 1996, number 10, Breaking the Waves.
All right, great movie. My number 10 is The People versus Larry Flint.
Great movie. Number 9, Swingers.
Number 9, Citizen Ruth.
Never saw it. Number 8, Mother Night.
Number 8, Crash.
Great movie. Number 7, The Cable Guy.
Number 7, Swingers.
Number 6, Get on the Bus.
Yeah, good. Number 6, Bottle Rocket.
Another great movie.
Heavy hitters. These are the grand slams, the slap shots, the three-pointers, the touchdowns, the curling when the puck gets close to the circle. These are the heavy hitters of the franchise. Heavy hitters.
Number 5 is Kenneth Branagh's Hamlet.
All right, that is a heavy hitter.
Yeah, that's really,
It's like 4 hours long.
yeah, it doesn't really get heavier than that.
Yeah. My number 5 is Welcome to the Dollhouse.
All right. My number 4 is Fargo.
Number 4, Breaking the Waves.
My number 3 is Hard 8.
My number 3 is Scream.
Uh,
Oh, Hard 8, right.
you didn't fix that.
I
did
fucked
you?
this up last time and have not
Yes.
fixed it.
You
Yeah.
need to fix that.
Uh-huh.
Number 2, The English Patient.
Oh, right. That's funny. My number 2 is Train Spotting.
And that's my number 1.
And my number 1 is Fargo.
All right,
All
good
right,
list.
Great list. All right. Fucking Brian De Palma, one of my favorite filmmakers ever. All
Yeah,
right.
and I'm a little ashamed.
I gotta say, I made the Hitchcock reference before. He's so much more than that. I don't want to pigeonhole him.
Sure is, dude.
All right. I have
He's made
seen
29 movies. Yeah, how
I
many?
have seen 19 of them.
You beat me. Yeah, I've seen 14.
Okay. All right.
I was disappointed with that number, but
Well, he's made 29 movies, but some of them are like hard to even find.
yeah, it's true. It's true. Especially like the first 5.
Well, I have at least 2 of those on my list.
Do
All
you?
right. Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Well, then you go down, and I'll catch you.
Yeah, catch me at 14 there. My number 19 and least favorite Brian De Palma movie. All right, now this is going to be a bold statement. City, here it is, Scarface.
Ooh, not so bold with me because I'm not a great fan of that movie, but that's definitely in the populace. That'll be a big.
Some will be mad.
Yeah. Scarface. It's just, what is it? What is it, buddy? What is it about
It's
Scarface?
too long. It's got that hammy as shit performance. It has nothing to say about drugs, even though it's all about them. I don't know. That movie sucks.
It's Oliver Stone wrote it, so don't forget that.
Oh my god, he feels like he directed it.
All right, go ahead. 18.
Number 18 is The Bonfire of the Vanities.
Okay.
All right. Number 17 here is one of his later efforts. I haven't seen his last 2 movies, which are Rendition and I don't remember.
Not Rendition. No.
What?
You're confusing it. I did the same thing. He did. It's called like Redacted or something. I'm gonna look it up right now.
Oh man, yeah. I still get those movies confused.
Because
yeah, you're
I've
right.
seen
Okay.
Rendition.
Redacted and Passion are his last 2 movies, and I have not seen either one of them. But before that is my number 17, The Black Dahlia.
Okay.
All right, number 16, probably higher than some would have this on their list, but I like some things about it, is Mission to Mars.
Oh, all right. All right.
Number 15, now this is going to piss some people off too, Henry. Here it is.
I'm waiting.
The Untouchables.
Yeah, pissed me off.
Yeah.
15.
Uh-huh.
Jesus. You've never really been into that film ever.
No.
So, I mean, I get it. I don't get it at all because it's amazing, but, to each his own.
No, I like that you're coming in at 14 because now we're getting into the ones I really like.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just double checking this. Yeah, okay. That's not. There's even another one that confused me. All right. Number 14. This movie is awful, but a cult favorite. Phantom of the Paradise.
That is not awful.
Yeah, it is. Fucking bad.
All right, my number 14 is the Michael J. Fox, Sean Penn joint effort, Casualties of War.
You're fucking crazy, man. Wow.
What, should that be higher?
Where do you hear mine, man? We are not on the same De Palma page.
All right.
The page that I do have in the palm of my hand.
I hate you. What's number 13?
It's a real good joke. I thought of that before
great.
the show.
Did you?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
thought of that before the joke. You thought enough of it that you were like, I'll use that on the show.
I was pouring coffee this morning, didn't write it down, forgot about it, and then just thought about it right now.
And you were like,
So-
oh, let me fit this one in. This
Right.
is gold.
Exactly. Timing is everything. That was not a good example of it.
What's number 13?
Mission to Mars.
Okay, my number...
Pretty much garbage, in my opinion.
All right. My number 13 is... Let me find it on the list. Here it is. It's his first film, Greetings.
Oh, never saw it.
It's, Greetings and Hi Mom. Robert De Niro plays the same character. We could cover him for the podcast.
Hi, Mom.
But Greetings, it's got some stuff about trying to get out of going to Vietnam that's really good, but otherwise it's totally focusless. Yeah. All right.
Better than the Untouchables and Casualties of War.
That is correct. What is number 12?
Number 12 is Snake Eyes.
God, Snake Eyes, a masterpiece.
Hey, I put it ahead of Mission to Mars.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right. Number 12 is his collaboration with Rebecca Romaine Stamos, Femme Fatale.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Number 11, I don't remember much about this movie, but I remember it being entertaining. Raising Cain.
That's not bad. That's your 11?
Yeah.
Okay, my number 11, here it is, Mission Impossible.
Ooh. Wow. All right. Number 10. I haven't seen this movie in a very long time. It has the worst reputation. It's become a go-to phrase for a bomb, but I don't remember it being that bad. I actually would like to rewatch it, so it's coming in at number 10, The Bonfire of the Vanities.
Yeah, I'd like to rewatch it too. I just remember it being pretty bad.
Yeah.
My number 10 is the aforementioned Raising Cain.
Oh, okay. My number 9 is Femme Fatale. I remember it being so over the top and ridiculous, but in a good way. It's been a long time since I saw it, but
it is ridiculous in a good way. I agree.
Yeah.
My number 9 is the better of the De Niro, De Palma comedies, and that is Hi Mom. And, after watching Hi Mom and Greetings, I'm so mystified by all the fucking people after Analyze This and Meet the Fucking Parents that were like, oh my God, Robert De Niro can do comedy? He's hilarious in those movies. It's like 30 years earlier.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. My number 8... because I do think I like it better than you, but Scarface.
All right, number 8. My number 8 is Phantom of the Paradise.
Crazy man. Number 7 for me is Mission Impossible.
Okay, my number 7 is Carlito's Way.
All right. My number 6 is a great movie, one of his recent films, Passion.
Oh, damn! I should see that.
It's a great, great movie. Numi Rapace and
You love Numi Rapace.
I do love her. She's great in it. And who is it? Rachel McAdams, I think, is really good in it too.
Superhero count, Doctor Strange.
Do we do a heavy hitters for the top 5 Brian De Palma movies?
Sure, but let me read my number 6 first.
Yep.
Listen, this is where we start with the masterpieces, as far as I'm concerned. Number 6 is Body Double.
Yeah, this is ridiculous. I've never seen Body Double all the way through.
You'd love it.
I know. I need to see that, and I've never seen Blowout all the way through.
That's crazy.
It is
You'd
absolutely
love that. That's a Henry movie.
I know, it's absolutely nuts, especially because those are the 2 movies that people, well, 2 of the movies that they really associate with De Palma. I don't know why or how I haven't seen either of those, but I really need to. So, yeah.
Yeah, get on that. We
I
need a
will
theme
get on
song for Has Henry Seen Blowout?
But and Body Double, right? Or which do you say go first? Which one?
Well, I think you'd love Blowout.
That's Travolta, right?
Yeah.
I think maybe that's why I avoided it.
Yeah, but it's like Travolta in the early 80s. Like, Travolta...
Staying Alive, Travolta?
No, well, fair enough. But when Travolta's on, when he's younger, he's fucking great.
Yeah, I love Saturday Night Fever.
Sure.
All right. So the top 5 De Palma.
These are the heavy hitters.
These are the grand slams, the slap shots, the three-pointers, the touchdowns, the curling when
and the puck is close to the circle.
These are the heavy hitters of the franchise.
Heavy hitters. All right.
He likes it a lot. All right, number 5. This was hard, man.
Shout out to Ryan Republican. All right, what's number 5?
Yeah, I'm with you with the masterpieces, but we're going to be vastly different, I
Yeah.
imagine. Well, number 5, maybe not. Carrie.
Carrie's all right. My number 5 is Sisters.
Yeah, I've always wanted to see that too.
Yes, and I'm not referring to the Swoozie Kurtz Seal Award drama.
You know what, man? I'm inspired as I rarely get when we talk about these lists. I'm going to queue up on my Netflix all 3 of these.
I love it.
Sisters, Blow Up, and Body Double right when we're finished recording.
Blow out.
Oh, Blow Up's Antonioni.
You'd hate Blow Up.
Right, Antonioni. Right, yeah. Don't know what I'd think about that. Okay, so I said Carrie. You said what again?
Sisters.
I say number 4 is Carlito's Way.
All right, my number 4 is Blowout.
All right. My number 3 is Dressed to Kill.
A great movie. My number 3, let me find it on the list. Here it is, Henry. Number 3, Snake Eyes.
You are a madman.
It's a masterpiece, baby.
Man. It's so great when we do this one because this list it doesn't matter to me now because you put Snake Eyes at number 3. So
multiple times I have sat Henry down in front of Snake Eyes, and never has he made it through the movie.
Henry,
I
saw it in theaters.
I know you did. Henry, do you remember one time we got in sort of a fight about it?
Believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we were
Yeah.
both drunk, so it's easier to get into a fight.
True.
But I was like, come on, just give it a chance. That kind of a thing.
Didn't work.
No.
All right. Number 2, Brian De Palma, Casualties of War.
Oh, wow. You love that movie.
I think that movie's amazing.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
My number 2 is Carrie.
Yeah. Can't argue that, really. And the number 1
I'm a
Brian
sucker
De
for
Palma
high school.
movie-
You know that.
What's that?
I'm a sucker for high school.
That's true.
Yeah.
The number 1 Brian De Palma movie for me is one of my favorite movies of all time, and that is The Untouchables.
God, number 1.
It's got everything in it that I want from Brian De Palma.
That's
and from-
crazy. Because I can see it having everything you want from like other shit, but to me it doesn't give me that Brian De Palma juice.
Well, it really does to me, man.
All
I
right.
mean, the angles, the camera work, the music, it's all there, man. No one else could have done that film that way.
That way, sure. But like it's like
that way, right?
Mission Impossible has the Brian De Palma juice, but I want it more like I want it mainline. I want to mainline that Brian De Palma.
I understand.
To me,
that.
like Untouchables, I'm sniffing Brian De Palma. I want to inject my shit with between the toes with Brian De Palma.
I totally understand that, but I get it. I get that from the Untouchables. Mission Impossible, that's a totally fair case because I think that movie could be done by a good action director of any sort, but the Untouchables really does have De Palma all over it. So, What's your number one?
My number one, and to me, this is the inject between the toes Brian De Palma movie, and that is Dressed to Kill.
Yeah,
an absolute masterpiece.
It is.
Yeah,
I've seen it multiple times. I love that movie. It's amazing.
Amazing.
That movie actually, for me, is probably the first time I really realized that I loved Brian De Palma. I think.
Interesting.
Yeah, because they showed it a lot on Encore in the 90s, and I kind of was watching like, what the fuck is this? And I had already seen Carlito's Way, The Untouchables, the Mission Impossible, Scarface, but that was the one that really called attention to itself for me, wondering like, who directed this?
You know what I felt that way about?
What?
Snake Eyes. No, honestly, I saw Snake Eyes in theaters and I was like, this movie's fucking insane. I gotta see everything this guy made.
That was one of the most miserable cinema going experiences of my life. It was 20 years ago, and I still remember where I saw it, who I saw it with.
Me too, but in a positive way.
Right. Yeah.
I saw it with my sister and her friend Alex up in upstate New York. It came out in August. I remember Entertainment Weekly had given it a D+, and I liked Entertainment Weekly at the time. And I was like, oh, God. But we went to see it. We liked Nick Cage, and I think my sister hated it, but her friend and I loved it.
Yeah, I saw it in Pittsburgh with my then girlfriend, and I felt bad for having subjected her to that, and I don't remember much else except I remember seeing it in Squirrel Hill. Shout out to the Squirrel Hillers out there. And I just remember being really pissed off because at that point I was an avid cinephile at that point, knowing what I was seeing, who I was seeing, you know what I mean? And so I was like, oh, it's Brian De Palma. It's a no-brainer. Of course I'm going to see it now.
Mm-hmm.
And just being so angry.
That's crazy.
Anger and ire. Yeah.
You know, in many ways, Mission Impossible is the test run for Snake Eyes. Because, it's a Hitchcockian thriller where we don't know who's good and who's bad. And there's a lot of weird first-person shots, like flashbacks where we're seeing the events in first person from different perspectives. And that's kind of all Snake Eyes is.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw quite a bit of Snake Eyes in this film.
I thankfully do not.
Okay. So we start, it seems to be setting up an ensemble piece.
Sure.
There's like a little bit of a pre-credits sequence. You know, one of the things I don't like about Mission Impossible is I feel like the TV show was still a thing when this movie got made.
I don't know if it was.
People.
Reruns,
I think people cared about it because it's set up like a fucking TV show. There's like a fucking opening credit sequence in this movie that is like a TV opening credit sequence.
Yeah, but I love it.
I'm not that into it.
I loved it.
And we get like a
lot of masks.
It's the original theme song, and I prefer the redone theme song from the closing credits.
That's very cool.
I
mean, I can't really argue that.
You know who did it?
Great. Wasn't it like Bono or somebody?
Bono was not involved, actually. It was two other members of U2.
Oh.
That's right. Adam Clay 2,000 Pounds and Larry Mullen Sr.'s son.
Oh.
Sorry, that was a shout out to you talking U2 to me. It is the bassist Adam Clayton and the drummer Larry Mullen Jr. They created this Mission Impossible theme, and
it's awesome.
U2 was doing a very specific thing at the time. They were working a lot with Brian Eno, so they were getting, really into that electronic feel. This
Sure.
album came out right between. I mean, this song was done between like Zooropa and pop, so they were in like a weird period of their careers, and everything just sort of sounded like this. They also did that Batman song, "Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss Me, Kill Me" during this time, and that kind of has
I
a
don't know
similar
that at
vibe.
all. What's that from? Batman and Robin? or
Batman
something?
Forever,
Oh, Jesus.
the
I
best
don't
part of
remember
Batman Forever.
that. I believe you.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
we'll get
anyway,
there.
there's my U2 knowledge.
Fuck you. Fuck
he-
you too.
Yeah, U2. So listen, we set it up as an ensemble piece. We're introduced to all these new characters, but then they get wiped out in the
Yeah.
first, 15 minutes of the movie. One of them's
Yep.
Emilio Estevez. I forgot he was in this movie.
Yeah, we got a Cruise buddy, Emilio Estevez.
That's
We
right.
got,
The best man at Tom Cruise's first wedding.
they're buds. We
Yeah.
got,
Remember when
Kristen's-
we did Young Guns? Cruise popped up in that in a cameo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, another
right.
shout out to Ryan Revolkin.
Yeah.
Check out our Young Guns episode.
Yeah. Kristen Scott Thomas, she bites it.
That
well,
surprised me.
Yeah, I
There's, like,
love that
Emilio
whole
Estevez.
opening.
Emilio Estevez is uncredited in this movie, but like Kristen Scott Thomas is credited high.
He's uncredited. I don't think he's uncredited in the closing credits. He might be uncredited in the opening
I think
credits.
he might be uncredited in both.
Really?
Yeah,
Jeez. Okay. Yeah.
Emilio.
I love that whole opening, and I loved killing them all right away. It's shocking. It's great.
I like
think it's
killing
very
them all
effective.
right away. The sequence itself, I think, is just okay.
Really?
Yeah.
I dug it. I thought it was brilliant. Yeah, and especially Emilio Estevez's death. Holy shit! It's, just on the borderline of rated R.
I think it should have been more brutal.
It's pretty brutal. I mean, he gets an elevator
Right.
socket to
no,
the eye.
His death is good. Yeah, we cut away right before, but
Well, you see it going a little bit. Yeah, it's there.
it's a pretty quick cut, though. It's a smash cut.
Yeah.
So Emilio bites it, and then Tom Cruise, Ethan Hunt.
Yes. Great name.
It is a good name.
Great name.
He pops back over to the old MI. Wait, what is this? IMF?
IMF, impishable,
I'm always confused by
impossible mission force.
That's stupid. I'm
well,
always.
it's not real. Yeah.
I know, but it's a confusing thing, IMF, because the police and like the FBI and the CIA, they're not aware of IMF.
Right.
So, like, what power does IMF really have? And who are they working for?
Yeah, I don't know, dude. I don't know, man. It's like
You're
probably
as unclear on that as I am?
Oh, sure, because they don't really. I mean, I think it's probably some, out like a branch of the CIA or the NSA.
But
something
the
like
NSA
that.
and the CIA don't know what IMF is. Like, it's so secret that they don't seem to work for anybody.
I don't know, man. I didn't question it too much. I mean,
I question, and frankly, I have not seen anything. Well, I watched part of Mission Impossible 3 on TV once, but I have not seen anything past 2 the whole movie. And I am hoping we get into the inner workings of IMF in one of these
Really?
later movies.
You really want to know that stuff, huh?
I would, frankly.
All right.
Because it's hard for me to watch a spy thing where I don't know the logistics of the spy ring.
Yeah.
Like in Bond, they're able to tell it, like, hey, he works for the fucking British government, but quiet, shh, it's a secret.
Right.
Like,
yeah. No, that's true. That's a fair point.
Even in the Kingsman movies where they're not working for a specific government, they try to let you know at least, like, this is where we're coming from.
Yeah. I can't tell you because I don't remember. I've only seen 3 through the rest once, and I just don't remember. And it's not something I ever thought about. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so he goes back to...
I will now, though. I'll tell you that.
That's
the
right.
Next time I watch this, I'm going to be looking for clues.
I was looking for clues, didn't find any.
All right. Yeah.
So Tom Cruise, Ethan Hunt, he goes back to the safe house where he runs into Emmanuel Béart,
Yeah.
right? Which is so John Voight's his boss.
Right.
And John Voight's married to Emmanuel Béart, marrying well under his age, and so she's there. He thought she was dead, and then it turns out Voight, in fact, is not dead.
Right.
He's the villain of the piece.
Ooh, you jumped way ahead.
Well, I mean, we can
yeah.
talk about specific sequences and shit. One of the
Right,
things
right.
I do like about the Mission Impossible movie is it really is a series of missions. So, like, the movie does have a narrative flow where
Absolutely.
I always understand the objective of the mission, and
Right.
after that, like, after the mission is successful, I understand where it leads.
Right.
And
right,
that
right.
is that is helpful. It's a pretty tight movie, even if it's complicated.
Yeah, I even wrote down like it is very tight. It is extremely convoluted. I mean, and
It's
I
crazy
think
convoluted.
It's crazy convoluted. It's unclear, and I think the worst example is what I was alluding to earlier in the show. Is when, and it's just maybe it's just the editing. They couldn't get it together. When Cruise finds John Voight alive, and they sit down in the London subway station.
That is one of the best scenes in the movie.
It's a great scene, but that is the actual reveal of when John Voight is the bad guy. But the editing is so strange because John Voight's telling one story. Tom Cruise is looking at him and acting reacting to what John Voight is actually saying, but Tom Cruise is thinking of the reality of what John Voight is saying.
And we're also getting flashbacks that
that's what I
are
mean.
from an unreliable narrator, because the
that's Tom
flashbacks
Cruise.
are just what Tom Cruise thinks happened.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that is not well done.
It's
And
very odd. And
I
also doesn't super make it clear whether Kristen Scott Thomas was in on Emmanuel Béart was in on it the whole time.
That's right.
Or just being used as a pawn.
That's right. And that is the weak link of the film, just that critical sequence, because it should be an aha moment, but instead, that's what I picked up on really this time more than anything, was just like it's
More
just,
of an
huh? Very poorly done. I mean, we're essentially getting three narratives in one sequence of dialogue, and one of them, like you said, is an unreliable source. So
it's a lot more ambitious than your average action movie based on a shitty TV show.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, maybe it's a good TV show, whatever.
Yeah, I don't know.
But it is quite muddled.
Yeah, it's very muddled, and I really do attribute that to all the writing issues they had with it. I mean, if you read up on it, which I'm sure you did, I mean,
It's
it
a
just had
cobbled together movie.
totally cobbled together.
Here's the other big thing I don't like in the narrative of this movie is all the shit involving the Bible. Where he finds a Bible and it turns out to be from a Chicago hotel room and it's referencing Job, but it's actually about a job. And
I didn't mind that.
John Voight's, it was a little bit borderline Da Vinci Code to me, man.
Yeah, I mean, it straddled that line.
I was expecting Paul Bettany to show up naked.
But it led to one of my favorite lines in the movie, which was when they're in the train at the end and Cruise says something about that, and John Voight looks at him and he goes, "They stamped it, didn't they? Those damn Gideons."
I didn't
like
even
that.
understand, like, what's a Gideon?
The Gideon, I guess they're like some Christian sect of people who, where they pass out their Bibles, they put a stamp on it. Say it was brought to you by the Gideons. You know, like the Mormons, the Latter Day
I hear
Church.
you.
Yeah. So these are like the Gideons, and so they stamped it, and that is what tipped off Cruise as to Voight, and what
that
spoiled
joke
Voight's.
is not written for Jews.
Yeah, 12 years of Catholic school, folks.
Yeah.
I got it. Yeah, right away. Yeah.
So Cruise also, because it's just him and Emmanuel Béart at this point, he's got to recruit a team to help him get the knock list and clear his name, all that shit. That's the best sequence in the movie, I think. I mean, it's the iconic sequence of the movie.
It's the iconic sequence.
Cruise on wires.
It's definitely one of the best. I mean, there's no dialogue. It's timed.
Real tense.
It's tense. It's timed perfectly. It's directed masterfully. Every touch is perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, I think between that and the aquarium sequence, I think that sequence is also
The aquarium sequence Tom Cruise came up with. Did you know that?
I know.
Yeah.
I that was great.
The train sequence is really cool too.
Of course it is.
At the end, let down a little bit by some 1996 special effects.
Totally agreed.
But
it's still amazing.
It's still awesome. Yeah.
And that aquarium sequence I think also is made not only great by the camera work, the direction, and the writing, which in that sequence is excellent, but the acting from Tom Cruise and from the great Henry Czerny.
Okay, all right.
You don't like him?
Let's talk about him.
Oh, too hammy?
He is sort of an IMF guy in this movie who is a little bit like he's sort of like we think he's the villain for a lot of the movie because he looks like a villain and keeps saying things that a villain would say.
But he says Cruise is the villain. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right.
And then it turns out he's not. So Henry Czerny.
Czerny.
Is that definitely how you pronounce his name?
The only reason I say that is because there's a famous piano composer named Carl Czerny, and it's spelled the same way.
All right, we'll go with Czerny. Henry Czerny, to me, is an actor that should not be in movies like this.
Really? That's interesting.
He's an actor who I like. He's
actually just in something I just started watching, by
Sharp
the way.
Objects.
Excellent.
How fucking good was that?
Oh, my God, dude. Wow. Woo.
Yeah, that's a big recommendation.
Big recommend.
But I watched him for years on the ABC primetime soap Revenge.
Oh, okay.
right.
Do you like him in that?
I like him in that, but that's the kind of thing he should be doing. Like, to me, having Henry Czerny at the center of your big budget Brian De Palma action movie, like, it's like putting someone from Melrose Place in the same role.
I don't think so.
He's a primetime soap actor, man. You might as well have fucking Grant Show or Luke Perry in this role.
Grant Show.
Put Antonio Sabato Jr. in there.
Oh, come on now. First of all, I had no baggage with that because I've never seen him in that. I've only seen him in, bit parts in movies and stuff. So But
that's how he acts to me.
No,
every line is delivered in like, that's quite interesting.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Now, I think you should ask Heather, what is the problem there?
His diction is very precise, Hunt.
It's ridiculous.
But it helps that there's a lot of sequence scenes he has with the great character actor Dale Dye.
Yeah. He is good.
Dale Dye, he's great in anything he's ever in. He's like an R. Lee Ermey figure, like former military guy who turned actor, and he's a De Palma guy. I think he's in Casualties of War.
Probably.
Yeah. He's great. Dale Dye.
So the team Cruise recruits is Ving Rhames and the professional himself, Jean Reno.
Yeah.
And this was that period in the 90s where Jean Reno started showing up in like mainstream American movies.
Like Ronin and shit.
And of course, my personal favorite, Roland Emmerich's Godzilla.
That's right.
Yeah.
And Ving Rhames was hot shit too.
Ving Rhames was the hot shit at the time for sure. And
Pulp Fiction and Don King Made in America.
Right. And you know what? Ving Rhames to me is real hit or miss, and I was not excited about him being in this movie, especially because I know he's the only actor other than Cruise to be in all of these.
Mm-hmm.
But I gotta say,
he's great.
He's pretty great.
He's great.
Yeah, I'm into Ving Rhames in this movie.
Luther.
And it's interesting casting because it's like Ving Rhames, who's this like cool hep cat black guy, like playing a
computer nerd.
Like a hacker guy.
Yeah, it is cool. It's a neat idea. Like whoever came up with that casting is very good. And
I mean, they could have easily gotten like Breckin Meyer in this role.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of that would have been an easy out. And by getting Jean Reno, that's really cool too. This kind of shifty Frenchman,
and
know.
he turns out to be in on it with John Voight, which I liked.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah. So that was the casting in this movie is superb. I mean,
Except for Henry Czerny.
Not in my opinion, but in your opinion, yeah. But
we could have used some better women, honestly, too. Emmanuel Béart's
well,
okay.
I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
She is my LVP.
Interesting.
She's always been for me the weak part of the movie, all the other stuff aside, because I love this movie 100%.
We're really supposed to care about her in that, her husband may or may not be dead, then is the villain, and she may or may not be in on it. Also, she may or may not be boning Tom Cruise at some point. And so, she's
more poor editing
really,
there.
really crucial part of the movie.
She really is. And I don't know if she's not a good actress in the English language or if she's just not a good actress.
Well, A, can we hire an actress who can speak the language? And B, it's an underwritten role. Man,
you know what? You could have put
hire actors who can do American accents. I'm sorry. I know I talk about this a lot on the show, but I saw that movie fucking Tag yesterday.
Oh, okay.
And both of the female leads in that movie can't speak American accents.
Oh boy,
it's Isla Fisher who sucks, and then this other actress I didn't even recognize. And the second she started talking, I was like, "There's no way this lady's American." And I IMDb'd her after the movie. She's British, of course.
Yeah. Well, you know what would have worked probably.
That movie sucks, by the way.
I'm sure it did. I had no desire. You could have put Kristen Scott Thomas in that role.
Yeah,
would have been better.
Right, trade him out. She's more age appropriate for John Voight anyway.
Yep, and she's very good, an excellent actress.
She's great.
You could have done it, but yeah, Emmanuel Béart is every line delivery is just done in that soft.
If you want to go young with it, how about this?
Breathy.
How about this? Snake Eyes he made right after this movie. How about Carla Gugino?
There you go.
Get her in there.
Fine. Yeah. Just everything's said in that breathy, it's just, ugh. Yeah, it's bad. And that's another poor editing choice because there are lines at the end of the movie that more than imply that Cruise and Béart consummated their relationship.
Yes.
And
but they haven't, no.
I mean, and to us, they haven't.
And I'll say this. There are 3 actresses in that original crew that die, and they look too similar. To the point where, every time there's a flashback, I gotta figure out which character this is.
Yeah, it's true. Especially that Hannah character with the shades. She's kind of got tinges.
All I've got is she's got slightly thinner lips.
Yeah. Well, compared to Emmanuel Béart, Mick Jagger has thinner lips. I mean, they take up the screen.
Yeah,
but
she got them DSLs.
Sorry?
Nothing. All right. Have we said enough?
I don't know. Talk a little bit about that sequence in the CIA Langley. I mean, it's pretty astonishing.
I mean, it's awesome. Yeah, the shit in the air duct. Tom Cruise is using those grippers to climb up air ducts.
He's fucking great, man.
They've got to keep it quiet, and he's kind of tiny, Tom Cruise, so he lands on that desk, and when they drop the knife, it's awesome. And look, you're right. You were about to say, let's talk more about Tom Cruise. Listen, It's 1996, and frankly, it could be any year.
I agree.
Tom Cruise is a fucking movie star. One of the best movie stars we've ever had.
I agree.
We just got done talking with about George Clooney and Brad Pitt in that Ocean's 11.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise might be even better.
Yeah. He in terms of movie star power.
Right. Not George Clooney and Brad Pitt are probably deeper actors.
Yeah.
But Tom Cruise can do that too because he's great in Eyes Wide Shut. He's great in Magnolia.
I agree. I think he's phenomenal, and I mean, it's funny because I was thinking how we should have done
problematic as a person.
Of course, big time. But he's just so commanding. He's got every quality, right? I mean, and just to go back to the movie star thing, if you're leaving acting out. He's like when you think of Jack Nicholson, movie star with the fucking sunglasses and all that shit, and it's like that's what Tom Cruise is. He's a movie star, and he earns it, and he's so committed. You know,
and he does all his stunts and shit.
Yeah, we'll get to that in the second.
And he just runs the screen. Like
he really does.
Every time he's on screen, the fucking movie's just his. Like,
True.
You try to outdo Tom Cruise, you will fail.
You're right. And that's an interesting comment you made about Clooney and Pitt maybe being deeper actors. I would even qualify that. I would say Brad Pitt's probably the best actor of those three, probably the most versatile. Clooney has kind of what Cruise has in that he's not as versatile, but when he commits deep, he can get into it. And I actually, that's kind of how I feel a lot.
He's also a filmmaker, so he kind of looks at performances.
And that's how I feel a lot about. And those adjectives, I think, would also describe, even though I think he's the greatest of anyone we've talked about of these three, but Jack Nicholson. You know, he's not a chameleon, Jack Nicholson, but he has that Cruise thing where when he's on screen, he's just owning it.
Oh, right. No, it's totally true. Like, he's a supporting character in terms of endearment, and he just gets up there, and Shirley MacLaine's been hamming it up the whole movie, and it's like, oh, good luck, Shirley. Yeah. You try running that screen when fucking Jack Nicholson's there.
Exactly.
And that's how it is with Tom Cruise, man.
Yeah. But he is awesome. I've always loved Tom Cruise. I've always loved him, despite his flaws in reality. And,
me too. And look, like, even when he was like going through crazy Scientology phase, he's OT level 8. He's not 9
What do you mean going through? He's still there.
No, I know, but like when he was like having the weird jumping on the couch, and he was marrying Katie Holmes, and we were like, is it a fake marriage? And then he had the kid, and then when he got divorced, he like, the kid was like a bad influence on his Scientology, so he stopped like seeing his kid. Like, he's a maniac. But if you just look at the work, man, like the guy never stopped making good movies.
Nah, I mean, he's made some clunkers, but that's one of the reasons I wanted to sort of do a favorite Tom Cruise list, but we have enough weeks if we want to do that or not.
Hank, if you wanna rank every Tom Cruise movie next week, I'm in.
Let's do it.
I
think he earns that.
Fine.
I think that's fair, because otherwise we're never going to get to rank him as a director or anything. So we might as well.
Let's do it. We'll rank Tom Cruise movies.
Sure, absolutely. All right. Yeah. I just saw, American Made, and that was good. Did you see that?
That is good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right.
Edge of Tomorrow.
Awesome.
I fucking loved it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Live, die, repeat. All right. Hey, Mission Impossible. What do you give it?
I love this movie. It's one of my faves. My opinion did not change. It is a 5-star movie.
Oh my God, I'm gonna give it a 3.
Yeah, I figured. Well, I thought maybe a 4.
Well, that was between a 3 and a 4. But honestly, I'm giving it a 3, and it's because I'm leaving space open. Because a lot of people tell me that this is the kind of franchise like the Fast and the Furious, where like the later ones are better.
Yeah.
And so I'm leaving room for improvement.
I'm not worried about the room for improvement. I mean, it could happen. I'm totally open to it, absolutely. But this for me.
But I'm okay with a 3. I'm happy with a 3. It's too clunky, but and whatever. But it's really good. Really good movie.
Yeah, despite its flaws, I think it's massively entertaining and excellently made. So it's getting a 5 for me. My MVP was easy. It's Tom Cruise.
It's Cruise all over.
I mean, I almost wanted to give it to De Palma for pulling it all together from probably what was a mess of a million colored scripts. But it's Cruise's film, man. Nobody else.
Yeah, baby.
So Cruise is your MVP?
Yep.
Who's your LVP? Because mine's Bayar.
Mine's Henry Czerny.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. What superhero count? Do we have that?
Sorry. Yes, it's just 2. I was sleeping there a little bit. Just gotta get this thing on here, and okay. And yes, this is
great listening. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, I feel like that's loud today. All right, what is it?
Yeah. Only two. One of them is Ving Rhames.
Really?
Both of these surprised me. Both of these. Ving Rhames.
Are you talking about that Kojak show he did?
No. I'm talking about. Apparently, he played a cameo appearance called a character named Charlie 27 in Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
What?
Yep.
That's crazy. I don't know what you're talking about.
Told you it took me a while to do this. And he was in the pilot for the famed 2006 Aquaman.
That's right. Yeah.
Playing McCaffrey.
Sure. He wasn't Black Manta.
Great joke.
Thank you.
The second one is Henry Czerny, who is in the 2015 TV show Supergirl.
Oh yeah,
Plays Toy Man.
Toy Man. That's a good Supergirl villain.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's funny. I would think he'd be in like the Flash from the 90s or something.
Like as Flash's dad.
Yeah. Well, no, he wouldn't have been old enough at that point. But yeah, whatever. So he's in Supergirl. Good for him. Good for him.
That's it.
Yeah. Watch Sharp
All right.
Objects, gang. All right, let's move on to MI2.
MI2.
This comes to us 4 years later. I think they would have liked to come out with it faster, but Eyes Wide Shut was running long.
Kubrick was taking up a lot of cruise time, I think.
That's right.
Long cruise. Yeah.
All right, so they offered it to De Palma. De Palma turned it down. Then for a while, Oliver Stone was attached.
Who was?
Oliver Stone.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Well.
And he didn't want to wait for Kubrick. So, he jumped off board. So it comes out to us, directed by John Woo.
Yeah.
All right. Now, John Woo is a director, a Hong Kong director of some note. Is that right?
I believe so. Oh, right. Dan's got to be careful.
I really do. Yeah, Hong Kong. I nailed it. All right.
Yeah.
So he, of course, was around forever. A Better Tomorrow was a big Chinese hit for him in the 80s. But then he made like those three big movies in a row. The Killer.
Didn't see it.
Bullet in the Head.
Didn't see it.
And Hard Boiled.
Did see it.
And those are all great. And so he got his ticket to old US of A after those movies. Started making American movies. Started with the Jean-Claude Van Damme vehicle Hard Target, which is pretty fun. Then he made...
Yeah, I recall that being fun.
Then he made Broken Arrow.
Oh, awful.
It's pretty bad.
Awful. I can remember seeing that because I had a free movie pass to see that, and it was a miserable experience.
But then after that, he follows it up with a masterpiece.
No, he does not.
Yes, he does. Face Off.
We really need to get Nicolas Cage on this show for you.
Oh, my God.
It needs to happen somehow.
Let's rank the Cage train.
I feel like he'd do it. He'd do our show. He's crazy.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, sure. Hey, Nick, you want to be on our show? Yeah.
All right, so Face Off is a big hit for him and also a great movie.
I hate that movie.
That's crazy. All right, so then he follows it up with MI2, which is a big, big hit, but critics did not like it.
Yeah.
And
I saw it in the theater.
Yeah, then he follows that up with two big flops in a row. Wind Talkers.
Saw that too.
Which is bad. And then Paycheck with Ben Affleck.
Ooh.
Which I think is better than Wind Talkers, but still
I didn't
bad.
see Paycheck,
Still bad. I saw it in theaters.
Wind Talkers I saw in theaters, and I don't remember loathing it.
That
was Nick Cage.
I gotta tell you, it's a Native American movie.
Right.
You know, I'm not I find them boring.
You find it hard to kind of connect with.
I don't care about Native American mysticism.
So there's a lot. Okay, so
I can fuck with like a Smoke Signals where we're talking about
that's
like
a great movie.
Yeah.
Is that why one of the reasons you may not have liked Hostels or no?
Oh no, that definitely was a contributing factor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not the only factor, but one of the factors.
Certainly.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
then he goes back to China, and they embrace him there, and he's got his career going again. But he's making foreign films. The Red Cliff movies, The Crossing was big for him. Manhunt last year was big, and so that's what he's doing.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah.
But let's talk about it. His right in the middle, smack dab in the middle of his American career. Here it is, Mission Impossible 2. It's got another cobbled together screenplay. Robert Towne wrote the finished draft, but the story and early drafts were written by Ronald D. Moore and Brannon Braga.
Who are these fellas?
Now, these fellas were shepherding the Star Trek franchise at the time. They were big writers on Next Generation and Deep Space Nine. Wrote a shit ton of episodes. And then Ronald D. Moore went on to, of course, create the great show Battlestar Galactica.
Okay.
But this movie's pretty bad.
Thank God. Oh, what a relief.
Oh, did you think I was gonna like this more than the first
I
one?
didn't know. I figured you wouldn't, but I wasn't sure.
I
So
will say I had a very fun time watching it,
I can't.
even though
say
it's like a
that.
half hour too long.
I saw it in theaters when it came out, so that's like 18
I
years
did
ago.
too. I did too. Okay,
All
it
right,
came
I
out
never saw it again.
May 24th. Again, they went with Memorial Day weekend, the year 2000. A budget of $125 million. Huge budget. Box office of 546.4. Huge movie.
Right.
Anyway, we'll get to box office. Tell me your story of seeing it.
Nothing. I just remember I was in college in Pittsburgh, but I was visiting my folks in Jersey, and I guess it was Memorial Day, right? You said it came out then? Yeah. And so we all went to see it together, and I fucking hated it. Every second of it, I hated. I thought it was awful, and I was
liked it at the time, Henry.
Well, you were young enough.
Yeah.
I think that was a contributing factor.
And I was into John Woo.
Yeah, I was never into John Woo. I was 21. I was excited about it because I didn't really care that much who was directing it. I just was nice to, after 4 years, it was nice to see it coming back. And I loathed it. So I was honestly very open to seeing it again. Almost 20 years later.
I have a fun story with this one. I went to go see this. I'm 13 years old. My parents have split up at this point. So, like, I have to, like, spend time with my dad.
God.
So my dad takes me to see Mission Impossible 2 in theaters, a movie he couldn't care less about, but he knew I wanted to see. Very nice. So we go see it at this theater, the Green Acres Theater, and there's right in the center of this theater, there's this little yappy guy.
God, your memory is astonishing. You're like a Marilu Henner of the franchise.
All right. He's man-spreading. He's got like two women on either side of him who he may or may not have like paid to bring to the theater.
Sure.
And he is just talking at full volume.
I think I see where this is going.
All right. Now, my father does not care about this movie, but he's desperate for me to enjoy my time with him.
Of course.
All right. So he gets up. He goes out to I think first he's like giving this guy dirty looks. I think he complained about him, but no one did anything.
Yeah.
And then he starts talking back at the guy.
Sweet.
In the theater.
I love your dad.
All
That's
right.
great.
And before long, first of all, the guy he keeps calling my dad Cracker, which I thought was hilarious. What? Yes.
Was he?
Yeah, he's a black guy.
Okay.
He's calling my dad Cracker over and over again, and pretty soon, and his name is Lewis. Like they get into such a conversation, we know his name.
Oh my God.
And they take it outside.
No way.
Mm-hmm. So, I did not see my dad for the next maybe 40 minutes of the movie.
Oh my God.
All right, I'm just sitting there watching this movie,
little kid.
not knowing.
Oh.
I'm 13. I'm not little, but
Well,
I don't
you
know what
you're-
the fuck is
it's
happening.
impressionable.
I'm a little scared. I remember planning
Right.
an escape route if some
That's
shit
what I
went
mean.
down.
I mean, you're not an adult. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Escape route.
yeah, and
For yourself or for your
myself,
dad and you?
because my dad is not around at this point.
Right.
He's left the theater with Lewis,
Sure.
and so I guess they came close to blows, but never actually threw a punch, and the police intervened, and I think Lewis got thrown out. Like, he wasn't allowed to go back in the theater, and my dad was, because
He's white.
yeah, I was just about to say that.
Of course.
And I mean, not that Lewis deserved to re-enter the theater either.
Right,
But, but then we watched the rest of the movie. My dad just seething next to me.
That'd be a little distracting.
A little bit. So I was a little distracted watching the movie, but I remember basically enjoying it, and
Oh man.
and then so that was it. That was my Mission Impossible 2. I
That's-
never saw it
that's a-
again.
That's a great story.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And your dad's a big guy too. Like, he's tall and he's muscular, and I imagine 20 years ago he was even more so. So it's not like he, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to fight him.
No. Yeah. My dad would use that a lot back then.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's great. Wow.
All right.
What a memory. Okay.
Here's the top 10 highest grossing movies of 2000.
All right.
I wrote down the top 10 because we haven't really done this year much.
I noticed that myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Number 10, you want to guess?
Gladiator. Oh, no. Okay. I'm guessing number 10.
Just guess anything that might be on the list.
All right. X-Men.
X-Men's number 8.
The Patriot.
Not on the list. It was up there, but not top 10.
Unbreakable.
No. Remember, Unbreakable was not as big a hit as they wanted it to be.
Oh, it's like a video hit. Yeah. Gladiator.
Gladiator's number 4.
Oh. Wow. I don't know. Oh, Castaway.
Castaway's number 2.
Traffic?
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, I'm done.
Number 10, Michelle Pfeiffer. Why did it have to be Michelle Pfeiffer?
What Lies Beneath?
That's correct.
It's a good movie. I like that movie.
It is pretty good, yeah.
Zemeckis.
Number 9, it's a straight-up spoof of one of my favorite movies.
Oh, is this like a Scream spoof?
That's right.
I don't remember what
Scary
they called it.
movie.
Oh, right. Okay.
Saw it in theaters. Number 8 is X-Men. Number 7 is a movie I have already mentioned on this podcast, a comedy.
Meet the Parents?
That's correct. Number 6, a very boring movie because all movies that take place on boats where they're just battling the elements are boring.
Oh, that movie sucked. The Perfect Storm?
That's correct. Number 5,
Jeez.
I'll tell you what. Ladies Love a Nazi.
2000. Ladies Love a Nut. Oh, What Women Want.
That is correct, baby.
Saw it in theaters.
Me too. I remember being this is embarrassing, but I remember being like 14 when I went to see What Women Want.
Yeah.
And my big takeaway was Marissa Tomei really turned me on.
I was 22. I was 22 when that came out, and my big takeaway was Marissa Tomei was really hot.
All right. Gladiators number 4. Number 3, Mission Impossible 2. What a hit. Number 2 is Castaway because Tom Hanks was just top of his game. And number 1, we ranked it pretty low on one of our lists a few weeks ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
One of our lists.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We ranked the works by a certain director. And here it is. Ron Howard's How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Number 1.
My God.
Mm-hmm.
That made more money than Gladiator.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me. Jesus.
It sure did. All right. And how about our top 10 of 2000?
Yeah, this was a tougher year than I thought.
Very tough year.
I made 3 replacements.
I made a lot of replacements. I wrote down 16, had to cross out 6.
I wrote down 19, and I crossed out a whole bunch. But I want to just read with no. We don't have to comment on them, but I want to give a shout out to Wonder Boys, The Virgin Suicides, The Patriot, The Original Kings of Comedy, Oh Brother Where Art Thou, Unbreakable, Castaway, and X-Men.
I like every movie you just mentioned.
Yep. And I had to take 3 of them off. I didn't have to take 3 of them off, actually. It was just very hard. I wanted to kind of make a new list, so I shook it up a little bit.
Yeah, I did too. Okay, so the 6 that I crossed out on my list are Castaway, Hollow Man.
That's a fun movie.
Yeah. Dude, Where's My Car? Snatch.
Ooh.
Ghost Dog, The Way of the Samurai.
Oh, I forgot. I didn't see that come up.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Spike Lee's Bamboozled.
Great movie.
20
Ghost,
minutes, at least 20, maybe a half hour too long, but great movie.
great movie. Ghost Dog. I should make an effort next time I do this to put that on there because it would be the only time a Jim Jarmusch film would be on my
It
list.
would have been my number 11. It's like the only time a Jim Jarmusch movie hasn't made my list.
Right. I love that movie. Yeah. All right. Number 10. This is a new addition because I had the wrong year, I believe, on this movie for just 2 years of us doing the show.
Okay.
No big deal. Number 10, 13 Days.
Oh, right.
Which should please you because when it was on my, I believe, 2001 list, it was much higher.
Sure. That's also an X-Men movie. Just from a different perspective.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't understand that joke.
Because in X-Men First Class, the Cuban Missile Strike up.
Oh, well done. Right, of course.
All right. My number 10 is Boiler Room.
Great movie. My number 9 is Tigerland.
Ooh, a fine Joel Schumacher of all people movie.
One of his best.
Yeah. My number 9 is David Gordon Green's debut effort, George Washington.
Always wanted to see that. Never saw it.
Mm-hmm.
Number 8, Best in Show.
A great film.
Still my favorite Christopher Guest directed.
Waiting for Guffman's my favorite, but I will not argue.
The Big Picture as well, which you've still not seen, I believe.
That is true. My number 8 is Kenneth Lonergan's debut film, You Can Count on Me.
Oh, what a great movie.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't catch it. What a great movie. Yep. My number 7 is Snatch.
A great movie. My number 7 is American Psycho.
Great movie. My number 6 is Boiler Room.
My number 6 is Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Great movie. I took it off, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah.
Heavy hitters. These are the grand slams,
third
the slap
time.
shots, the 3-pointers, the touchdowns, the curling when the puck gets close to the circle. These are the heavy hitters of the franchise. Heavy hitters.
All right, making its list debut, Bamboozled.
Oh, a fine film. Glad to see it there.
I loved that movie. I saw it in theaters. Yep.
I didn't see it in theaters, but soon after. My number 5 is Unbreakable.
Yeah, took it off my list. My number 4, making its list debut, Requiem for a Dream.
Do not like that movie.
A lot of people, that's a polarizing film.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So Ellen Burstyn's great in it. But all right, number 4 for me is High Fidelity.
Number 4.
Very high, I know.
Not
high enough. Interesting.
No,
Okay.
wow. All right. Number 3, Traffic.
Yep. My number 3. Check this out. Best in Show.
That's fair game. Sure. My number 2 is American Psycho.
All right. My number 2 is Traffic.
All right. And the number 1 movie of 2000, I got to say, this was the only part that was not hard for me. It is High Fidelity, man.
It's a great movie. My number 1, Henry, and this was, I believe, number 8 on my original list. And
I knew you switched something.
I am
Yeah.
popping this baby straight up to number 1. And it's got its problems, but I love it. It makes me cry for 2 hours every time I watch it.
Oh, boy.
It has 2 cuts, a director's cut and a regular cut. Love both of them in different ways. That's how great it is. And here it is Almost Famous.
Oh yeah, you do love that movie.
Mm-hmm.
That should be your number one. I mean, you've talked about that movie in conversation. You love that movie.
I
Yeah.
do.
I like that movie. I don't love it, but yeah. 2000, a much better year than I always remember it being.
Listen, when I started writing this list,
Yeah.
I wrote down like Hollow Man and Dude, Where's My Car? Because I was like, this is gonna be a shitty year. I'm gonna need
Exactly,
these.
yeah.
And then there's a lot of great movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
All right, let's talk about MI2. We're pretty deep into this podcast. We probably should.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right.
Yeah.
The first
It's garbage.
The first shot. Okay. The first shot of the movie is a very recognizable opera house, and I'm wondering, where are we? All right. Where could we be? What's this an establishing shot?
I think it's in Manhattan. That's all I know.
I once asked my Australian friend Fabio, like, does it annoy you that any time we show Australia in a movie, we have to be looking at the Sydney Opera House?
And what'd he say?
He was like, kind of, yeah. There's other shit going on there.
What is it? Is it their like Statue of Liberty? Is that what it is?
I don't think there's one of those in, like, you know.
We have too many.
Yeah.
Each state has its own.
Each country, to be honest, like even like
Right.
England, like you could show Big Ben or you can show fucking, London.
Well, no,
Bridge or
of
something.
course, but yeah. You're okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Right. That's the only land, as if that's the
And
only
for the
landmark.
entire continent of Australia,
It's
we
fucking
only
huge.
ever see the Sydney Opera House.
Yeah, you're right. It's true. Yeah. Well, like every aspect of this movie, perhaps in reaction to the first movie, which was confusing to people, I think that's the first indication that everything that's going to happen in the movie is explicitly telegraphed to us.
No, it's true.
Every
To
possible
the point where there are
way.
like in jokes in this movie about how complicated the first one is. So we're gonna make here for you a really fucking simple, stupid movie. Get ready for it.
Not only is the action in slow motion, so is the plot and
So-
the writing.
So then we cut to Tom Cruise. There he is, Ethan Hunt. Oh, well, that's not true. First, we see Ethan Hunt on an airplane,
Right.
and he's trying to get some information from Raid Sherberger, who in this movie is
Eyes Wide
he's
Shut
playing
style.
a mad scientist, and he is just dressed up to look like fucking Walter Matthau playing Albert Einstein in that movie IQ.
Well done.
Yeah.
Well done.
So-
I think the name is Rade Serbedzija.
I don't care.
It must be a Cruise crossover friend, right? Because he was in Eyes Wide Shut. I imagine they probably
Fine.
spent 19 years together on that one scene.
Sure.
So they're probably like, Cruise like, I got a guy.
They might have fucked. I feel like Tom Cruise is the type of guy who, for Eyes Wide Shut, like I know a lot of people call Tom Cruise gay. I think I don't believe that, but
Neither do I.
I do think Tom Cruise may have fucked dudes for research on the set of Eyes Wide Shut. He strikes me as that kind of guy. Because watching this movie, okay, he's mountain climbing, and he's like, I insist on climbing this mountain myself. And then later in the movie, there's a scene where like a knife hits him in the eye, and he's like, I must have this knife hit me in the eye.
He's a thrill seeker.
He's ridiculous, this guy.
Yeah, he's an adrenaline junkie, I would assume.
So
'Cause he
I'm
doesn't-
thinking he
yeah.
participated in tons of orgies.
I
during
really
making
don't
Eyes
think
Wide
that
Shut.
happened, but-
I really do.
I've read a lot about that movie. I have books on Kubrick and that movie. People say all kinds of stuff. They say that Kubrick went to watch him and Nicole Kidman have sex, and
Right. And I'm sure he
It's-
did.
really hard to believe.
So
but,
Tom Cruise
okay.
kills Raid Sherberger, but then
Right.
it turns out it's not him. He rips his face off. That's the thing we didn't talk about in the first one. It's a convention of the franchise.
I mentioned it,
People
but yeah,
are constantly ripping their faces off to reveal their other characters.
happening a lot here.
Here he is, the villain of the piece, Dougray Scott. And let's talk about it.
2 years in the making, folks.
All
Might have
right.
been on the first episode. I don't remember.
All
You
right.
tell me.
Dougray
ahead, Dan,
Scott,
and now
my
is your
God,
chance.
this poor bastard.
It is your chance.
Listen, he had been cast to play Wolverine in the first X-Men movie, all right? Hugh Jackman would have been a nobody. Dougray Scott would have been this big star. Because let's face it, as great as Hugh Jackman is, Wolverine's the breakout character of that movie, no matter who plays him.
Yeah.
And so Dougray Scott, he's all set. He's gonna play Wolverine. All right. Filming runs long on Eyes Wide Shut. All right, which pushes back the filming of Mission Impossible 2, where Dougray Scott is committed by contract to play the villain in the shitty, forgettable villain before X-Men's gonna film. So Bryan Singer, he has his finger in a little boy's asshole, and his phone rings. He pulls the finger out, sniffs it, puts it in his mouth, then grabs the phone, and they're telling him, "Listen, Dougray can't do it. He's committed to Mission Impossible 2." He goes with his second choice, Boy from Oz star Hugh Jackman. All right. Now, Dougray Scott's just stuck making this Mission Impossible 2 while X-Men's off there filming, being the number 8 movie of the year. Like, look, I know Mission Impossible 2 made more money than the X-Men, but no one remembers who the villain is in Mission Impossible 2 is. I only remember it because of this story.
Right. Me too.
Yeah.
Yep. And prior to you telling me that story years ago, I didn't know at all. I didn't remember at all who was the villain. So, yeah. Very, very unlucky man.
So here he is, Dougray Scott. And I got to tell you, doesn't make much of an impression in this movie. And basically, he's a TV actor now. And he's not even an American TV actor. He makes movies in, like, Australia. I mean, TV shows in Australia.
He's Scottish, I believe.
Scottish, right.
Yeah, he's trying, man. But I think in this movie, everybody's trying. But this script is awful. But what destroys everything is the direction.
All right. Wait. We'll get. I'm not up to the big picture of the movie yet.
Yeah. Okay.
Because
it doesn't kick in right away with that.
Tom Cruise climbs to the top of this mountain. All right.
Yeah.
An airplane flies by, drops a canister. In it, there's some sweet shades. Okay. And now listen, it's the year 2000.
I laughed out loud,
why
man.
2K? I did too. This is the era of sweet shades in movies.
Yeah.
All right? Think about it. This was Pitch Black time. This was Matrix time. This was Blade time. Remember that shitty scene in Blade 2 where Chris Christopherson throws Blade his sunglasses?
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, thanks. And so Tom Cruise...
Was Frank Grillo in Blade?
Kind of. So Tom Cruise, Ethan Hunt, he puts on these sweet-ass fucking Oakleys. And they tell him what his next mission is, which is basically recruit Thandie Newton. And it says, that they're going to self-destruct in 5 seconds. So he takes them off, takes the sunglasses off, throws them in slow motion. They go flying through the air, explode into this huge explosion, and then you get Mission Impossible theme song performed by Limp Bizkit.
Ugh.
Boom, baby! All right,
Heavy hitter.
This is the movie for me, baby.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and I love too that you pointed out something about Y2K because in 96 with the first one, there's some obviously dated things like some of the cell phones and all that, but it doesn't even matter.
Tom Cruise Google. Oh no, that's in the first one. He like uses a fake Google to Google the word Bible.
Yeah, there's all kinds of dated stuff, but it doesn't even matter, man. Yeah. This one you're just feeling it. You're feeling that 2000.
Oh yeah, everyone's using Motorola cell phones in this movie.
Great stuff.
Yeah.
A
lot of product placement in this movie. Every product, what is it?
IMF.
IMF uses lots of Kodak products. I'll tell you that much.
They're into Kodak.
All right, but all their computers are Apple, early Apple adopters, And they drive around in Audis exclusively.
In the James Bond sequence you're referring to?
Yeah. Oh my God, that sequence sucked. All right, so he goes to Seville and meets Thandie Newton, the great Thandie Newton. Who,
Well, she's great now, but
listen,
wasn't very good in this, man.
Come on, man. But what she's asked to be in this sucks.
I know. I
All
agree.
Right. So
I agree.
Thandie Newton, we just talked about her. She was underused in Solo, A Star Wars Story. She just got
Right,
nominated
it's
for
true.
an Emmy 2 days ago, though, for Westworld.
Okay.
She shows up, and I do think she's charming in this opening sequence where she's playing like a thief. And
Yeah.
Tom Cruise got to like recruit her, and she's trying to
Yeah.
steal a thing. And I think Thandie Newton's really charming in this sequence, but she only gets like 5 minutes of this movie to be charming because right away she's just fucking Tom Cruise. And so for the rest of the movie, they're just like star-crossed lovers, and all she has to do for the entire rest of the movie is like stare with moony eyes at fucking Ethan Hunt.
It's terrible. I mean, and as much as she's doing that, John Woo is doing that to her with the camera.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
And it's
oh my God.
just-
John Woo's just eye-fucking her the entire movie. First of all, right there in the opening sequence, they're in a bathtub together. Tom Cruise is on top of her. They're, like, hiding from somebody. And
Right.
she's like, might I be on top? And he's like, sure. So she, like, straddles him with her thighs. And then we get this overhead shot of them chatting where her head is not in frame. And we're just looking at Tom Cruise and her cleavage.
Yeah, it's terrible. I noticed that. You're right.
my
You're
God.
absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And I think that what was going on here too is that this is just a stab in the dark, but maybe John Woo was channeling like, I mean, at that point, the Brosnan bonds had pretty much gone off the rails. We'd just been given the world is not enough. And I think there's a lot of that going on in this between.
Also,
because,
come on, John Woo does not give a shit about women. Think
Right,
about his
right.
movies. Think about Broken Arrow and Face Off. Can you name the female lead in those movies?
no.
I sure can't. And
No.
I've seen Face Off a ton of times.
Nah, yeah, she's given nothing. The movie, it's just, it's about a virus. I mean, the only scene
Okay,
in
yeah. It's the Chimera virus, and
Yeah.
it's basically like a new black plague. And the object of the movie is Dougray Scott wants to get it so he could kill people, and Tom Cruise wants to get it so he won't.
pretty
That's
much.
the entire fucking movie.
That's pretty much it. And I mean, I thought the only sequence in the movie that worked or it actually held my interest because John Woo didn't fuck with it or anything, was the scene between Anthony Hopkins and Tom Cruise.
Right, because that's
And it
just
actually-
straight up dialogue scene, and you got your Anthony Hopkins acting opposite Tom
Yes, you
Cruise,
did.
so
Yes,
it's
you did.
enjoyable on that level.
Great. And it kind of made me wish
That's
during
why they don't call it Mission Improbable, Mr. Hunt. It's Mission Impossible. I just said the
Mission-
title of the movie.
Mission Difficult, but yes.
Oh,
Mission Improbable was the thing that Ben Stiller
Oh,
did
right,
for the
right,
MTV
right.
Movie Awards.
yeah.
Anthony Hopkins, it kind of made me want to see something with Tom Cruise and Anthony Hopkins together.
I'd be
Be an
cool with
interesting
that.
dynamic.
Yeah, Tom Cruise would have been good as the Cuba Gooding Jr. role in Instinct. No?
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Okay. So he gets Thandie Newton on his side by using that sweet old dick of his. There's a car chase which comes to absolutely nothing and has a lot of John Woo just spinning cars in it.
Oh, my God.
And then so Tom Cruise has to recruit a team. He brings in Ving Rhames again, who is slightly less charming in this movie, to be honest, but not through
Yeah.
no fault of his own.
Agreed.
And he also gets this fella. Who's the actor? John
Idiot.
Paulson.
Yeah, this character's stupid. The actor's no good.
He's an Australian guy. He says the word mate a lot.
I mean, we're replacing the Jean Reno character with another sidekick. who
This guy
just
sucks.
can't- Oh, my God.
Yeah, he's a nobody. And I'm
Yeah.
so excited for, because I know that at some point in this Mission Impossible franchise, we're bringing in, real actors to be on the team. I know Simon
Yeah.
Pegg has been in a bunch of these movies, and I'm just
Right.
waiting for it.
Yeah, and I know we're going to be coming up on 3 next week, and I know Philip Seymour Hoffman's the villain. in
That's
that.
right. Yeah.
So I mean, I remember I haven't seen that in 10 years.
Well,
but I
I'm
remember,
excited for 3 because,
Yeah.
like I've said before, I think weirdly the thing J.J. Abrams is the best at is casting.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
so he recruits the team. They go on some missions. And, they seem to be impossible, but they do them. And
there's kind of a half-assed sequence at the end that's desperately trying to emulate the first film's suspension wire sequence.
oh, that's right. Yeah, he goes down into this thing
so fake
on
looking and
wires, and
Oh.
it is not very exciting.
And every time, and then to get back to what we said earlier really quick, about telegraphing everything that's happening, that racetrack sequence.
What racetrack
mean,
sequence?
When they're
Oh,
yeah,
oh,
exactly.
God! It goes on forever.
It goes on forever, and
yeah,
and
they go
they're
to
telling
see
us-
the ponies.
So they're telling Thandie Newton what's going on. They're telling each other what's going on, but they're really telling us what's going on. But the visuals are right there, so we're seeing what's going on because it's not that complicated.
Nothing is that complicated in this movie. It is the opposite. I didn't look at the fucking Wikipedia plot summary once of this
I
baby.
didn't either. Nope.
Did it
No.
not need it?
No, not at all. I mean, that and and also in the suspension wire sequence, it's the same thing. They describe what's going to happen. Also, there's been a sharp drop in IQ of the Ethan Hunt character. That was very noticeable to me. Like, even as a character in that world, he is really not like he is in the first movie. Like in the first movie, he's like constantly ahead of the game. And in this one, he's like always behind.
Well,
like,
part of
especially
that-
in the sequence where Dougray Scott is like saying Hunt will attempt some. Actually, I like that line. He'll attempt some aerobatic insanity.
Instead of
but-
killing a single guard.
Right.
Yeah.
That was a good line. But that entire sequence is also so. And Tom Cruise, Ethan Hunt is behind all the time in this movie. He's constantly behind.
Yeah, well, I mean, the script tries to tell you that's because he's clouded by his love
Blinded
for
by love,
Thandie
yeah.
Newton. But so basically, Dougray Scott figures out that Thandie Newton is only boning him to get information for Ethan Hunt. So he puts on an Ethan Hunt mask and pretends to be Ethan Hunt, and Thandie Newton doesn't know, which is baller. And I gotta say, you know what's fucking insane and gives me even more questions about IMF?
What?
This Dougray Scott character is set up where, like, up until recently, he worked
Yes.
for IMF
Right.
to the point where, like, he, a couple of times when Tom Cruise was busy, played Ethan Hunt on different missions.
Yeah.
And but Dougray Scott is set up to be this piece of shit. So, like, he's this evil villain who wants to like,
Right.
destroy the world. And so
Right.
it's like, what is IMF's recruitment process?
Not very thorough. Because even when Anthony Hopkins, even his character's a little dim-witted. Because he's like, do you think he would be possible to do this? And Ethan Hunt's like, it's possible. What? Do you know the guy? I mean, you were colleagues, no? It's just, you're right. It's no background checks in IMF. No, I mean, Jean Reno's character was former IMF that's stated in the first movie.
No. But
they're given
that he's
Yeah,
working from a
right.
list of people
Right.
that have been like disbarred from IMF
Right.
in that movie.
disavowed.
So disavowed. So it's like, yeah, these guys may not be on the up and up. But I mean, in this movie, like up until very recently, right before Dougray Scott tried to unleash the Black Plague on the planet, he was just flat out working for this company.
It certainly seems as though, yeah, right. That's what even that thing on the plane. No, was he still an IMF member then?
I think that was like his big.
Turn.
Yeah, that was his heel turn.
Oh, quick shout out! I didn't want to forget. Tom Cruise's cousin is in the movie.
Who's that?
William Mapother.
Is that Tom Cruise's cousin?
You didn't know that?
No,
I thought you'd bring that up,
I was just excited to see a Lost cast member in the movie.
dude. That guy is Tom Cruise's first cousin.
William Mapother played
Mapother, yeah.
Ethan Rom on
Because
Lost.
Tom Cruise's full name is Thomas Cruise Mapother.
All right.
And he was the villain in the Bedroom. That's where I really knew him from.
Listen, he's Ethan Rom on Lost.
Okay,
and
fine.
Of
You didn't know he was
course,
his cousin?
of course, Ethan Rom in anagram for Other Man, which was supposed to be a hint that this guy is part of the Others.
Okay,
How about that writing?
that's real good.
Yep.
Real
All right.
good stuff.
All right.
Yeah, they kind of look. They have a resemblance.
They
when
do
you-
have a resemblance, but William Apather's saddled with a pretty bad blonde dye job in this movie.
Yeah. He's in a great movie called Another Earth with one of the women in my life, Britt Marling.
That's right. I haven't seen that movie.
Great movie.
Okay. So then we come to the final 45 minutes of the movie, which is easily my favorite part of the movie. Not because it's good; it's very, very stupid. But
It's awful.
it
And
is
talk about a long
just-
movie.
This is, what we were talking about before with mainlining Brian De Palma through your fucking toes.
Yeah.
This is John Woo.
Oh yeah.
All
Well,
right.
For me, the whole movie was, but
No,
because
this
he's
shit.
two gunning it at one point.
He's
Tom Cruise.
two-gunning it. Everyone's riding around in motorcycles on shades with leather coats.
Right.
And fucking, there's just slow motion birds every which way. It's fucking great. And so at one point, Tom Cruise breaks this guy's jaw, pops a Tom Cruise mask on him, sends him over to Dougray Scott. Dougray Scott kills him thinking it's Tom Cruise, but it's not. And then he makes off. He's trying to... Thandie Newton at this point has been injected with the plague, so she's got hours to live. And
Injects herself. Yep.
injects herself, then just sort of like stands wistfully on a cliffside for the next 2 hours.
She's gonna kill herself.
Yeah.
I guess.
And then, so Cruise is just riding around with this fucking Dougray Scott, and they're just jumping off their motorcycles at each other, shooting slow motion bullets, running through fields of slow motion birds, both doves and pigeons, I might add.
True.
All
Very
right?
true.
And,
A lot of cooing.
yeah, that's the entire last 45 minutes of the movie is just
is
we're in slow
insufferable.
motion.
Yeah.
You hear
Yeah.
the score is Hans Zimmer, and he's used a female voice on the score, so it's
course.
it's
Not a good score.
and
Not a good Zimmer. Not a good Zimmerance.
no,
And that's the year he did the Gladiator score and all that. By the way, real quick shout out. There's a Rain Man callback in this movie.
oh, that stupid fucking song.
Yes.
That tropical piece, and it's
Yeah.
so weirdly used. It's while Tom Cruise is climbing the mountain.
Very odd.
And-
but it has to be for that. I mean, it has to be Tom Cruise being like, why don't you throw that one in there?
It's crazy, man. I felt like I was watching Cool Runnings for a second.
Cool Runnings has better action sequences.
It's possible. So John Woo is just like jizzing all over the screen for 45 minutes, and I'm loving every second of it.
It is.
And then finally, Tom Cruise thinks Dougray Scott's dead. Dougray Scott is not. He pulls a gun out. Tom Cruise does a big flippy do in the air.
Yeah, what?
Ethan
I
Hunt,
wanna- this is
Ethan
also-
Hunt is just jumping around on wires in this movie. Like, I was expecting Ethan Hunt to like turn around at some point in this movie and say, "I know kung fu." Like,
And another thing, one of the things that was cool about the first one is it's kind of clear, and I don't think this holds up later, which is fine. But in 96 and 2000, we are pre-Born Identity movies. So the hand-to-hand combat,
we still are in this. Oh, 2000. Yeah.
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
And the hand-to-hand combat in 96 in the first one is very limited, if
the
any.
hand-to-hand combat in 96.
There's very
it looks
little
like
of it.
something from like Under Siege or something.
Right.
Like that.
So Tom Cruise is not like a jujitsu master or anything. And in 2000, we're deciding that he can do flips and cartwheels.
No, we're
But it's
crouching
terrible.
tiger, hidden dragoning in this
Yeah,
fucking
exactly.
movie.
That's
Yeah.
exactly what it is. And it's pre-born, and so then I think you'll see,
The
kicking
shift.
in.
Sure.
Exactly.
All right,
Yeah.
so
the fights are terrible.
They're crazy. So on the one hand, the last 45 minutes of the movie is my favorite part of the movie, the most entertaining. I laughed a lot. I really enjoyed myself watching it, but I don't think that was the desired reaction.
No shit.
And so the movie ends, Henry, We get the Mission Impossible theme again, done by Limp Bizkit. Wes Borland going crazy. Dun, 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 dun. Then a song written for this movie, Henry. Did you stick around for the credits?
Like 10 seconds, man.
Oh,
I
my
knew
God.
there was some terrible shit.
I stuck around the
remember.
whole movie. The whole
Who
movie.
do we get?
It's a song written for the movie, Metallica.
I'm real glad I missed that.
I Disappear, it's called. I remember it was a big hit at the time. I used to hear it on 92.3 K-Rock. And it was, will you bury me when I'm gone? Will you treat me while I'm here?
Height of their powers.
As soon as I belong, then it's time I disappear. All right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well done, and said with the proper amount of anger.
James Hetfield killing it. Then, after that song ends, Henry, I forgot this existed.
Uh-oh.
Okay? We'd been hearing the instrumental Limp Bizkit version of the theme song.
Oh, shit.
Then
Fred Durst pops in.
Fred Durst kicks in some vocals, baby.
Oh, man.
He goes, now I know why you want to hate me. I said, now I know why you want to hate me. Because hate is all the world has seemed to see lately.
Oh, God.
It's fucking baller, man.
We go from
And all of a sudden, it's just like fucking Mission Impossible, this classy-ass Brian De Palma
Right,
joint. And then
right.
all of a sudden, John Woo's like, you know what this franchise could use? A backwards baseball cap and a goatee. Let's do it.
we go from Danny Elfman and U2 to
Right.
this fucking
Limp
shit.
Bizkit just Tallahassee trash.
Oh,
Oh, my God. All right.
yeah. Wow.
And there's your movie. MVP Fred Durst. Honestly, all right. So, what do you give this movie?
I wrote down my rating, but I think I'm changing it after our conversation.
You were gonna give it a 2, and you're giving it a 1 now.
Yep.
I'm giving it a 1. I was always planning on giving this a 1.
Yeah, I don't know why I was going to give it a 2. That really doesn't deserve
It is
a 2.
gutter trash. This
It's
movie.
total garbage.
Oh my God.
It's a 1.
It's crazy. It's crazy that this franchise kept going. I mean, I understand it was a
Yep.
big hit.
Right.
And then, but you know what?
It took 6 years.
It did take 6 years. It's definitely the case going into next week. We'll talk about it more. But the third one had to be good.
Right.
Oh my!
Right.
If they put out another shitty movie, this franchise was dead.
Dead in the water.
Yeah.
And I want to say also, because I wrote it down to remember to say, for me, I mean, looking at what everything we've covered, this is one of the worst sequels, like directly after the original, worst sequels we've ever I've ever watched. It's up there.
Really bad. It's really bad.
Yeah, it's one of the worst.
All right, who's your MVP?
The Anthony Hopkins.
Ooh, that's good.
Maybe that's why I
he's
had it
only
at
in
2.
2 scenes. He quits
matter.
himself nicely.
Yeah.
Oh, I have a note here. Ving Rhames steps in poop. I forgot to talk about that.
Right.
And the score at the end when fake Ethan Hunt died sounded exactly like the theme from The Omen, which was very weird.
Oh,
okay.
I didn't notice.
All right. So, MVP. Good Lord.
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
That was easy. I mean, Anthony Hopkins, man.
all right, fine.
You can do what you want, but
No, I'll go with him. It's fine.
he's good
he
in
classes
it.
it up a little bit.
Yeah. LVP is John Woo.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. Yeah, you gotta. Oh, wait, let me
You
think
have
of an
to.
actor though. That sidekick is real bad. The Australian guy.
Richard Roxburgh. I didn't think he was that bad.
No, not now. The villain
Oh,
sidekick was
Cruise is-
fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Cruz is psychic. Yeah. He sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there you go.
And 1-star rating. And we do have a superhero count.
MVP Fred Durst, LVP James Hetfield. All right. Now I know why you want to hate me. I said, now I know why you want to hate me. Because hate is all the world has seemed to see lately.
Wanted to give you a little more time there. All right, I got 6. We'll run through them.
All right, hit me.
Richard Roxburgh.
The villain sidekick.
Yes, who played Hugh. Hugh.
Hugh too.
He says that a lot, Hugh.
Yeah.
He played 3 characters in a movie I've never seen in Sean Connery's retirement party, The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Oh, who did he play?
He played Professor Moriarty, the Phantom, and M.
All right.
I guess he played 3 characters. I don't know. The great Rade Serbedzija.
Ray
Of course.
Sherber Gerber.
Right. He was in X-Men First Class as a Russian general, of course,
Sure.
even though the poor guy's Croatian.
The
But,
13 Days spinoff.
Right. And I remember this very clearly. He's in Batman Begins as the
A
homeless,
homeless guy. Yes,
You
I
remember
remember
that?
that too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. William Mapother. How do you say his last name?
I don't know. Ethan Rom from Lost.
Right. He is in Supergirl, the show. He plays the Parasite.
Oh, great villain and good for him.
All right. Dominic Purcell, who played one of the henchmen of Dougray.
Did not recognize him in this movie. I love Dominic Purcell.
Oh, I don't know who he is.
Yep,
Yeah.
bald Dominic Purcell from Prison Break. I know where he'll come up in Superhero Count, but I'm used to him being real big and bald, and
Okay.
he's a little less built in this movie and has hair. So I like when I looked up the movie on IMDb, I like Googled him to see what he looked like in the movie because I didn't recognize him.
Right.
And so there he is. He plays Heat Wave. Is that the character's name?
Correct. You
On
got it right.
The Flash and Legends of Tomorrow.
An Arrow. He's
Yeah,
like a crazy.
yeah.
Does them all. Yeah. And he was also in Blade Trinity, playing Drake.
Okay. Oh, right. He's fake Dracula in that movie.
You remember that?
Yes, I do.
God. Wow.
Yeah.
Number 5, we got Matthew Wilkinson, who played a character named Michael. I don't even know who he
right.
was in this movie. He was in Ghost Rider playing Abagor.
Probably a demon of some sort.
Yeah. And finally, we got Sir Anthony Hopkins, of course, in Red 2 as Edward Baker.
How has he not played like
Edward Bailey,
Jor-El
sorry.
in something?
No. I was saying Red 2 because that's part of the count, but he is. He's a big one. Come on. Anthony Hopkins. What's he in?
Anthony Hopkins.
Huge.
Really?
Come on. Oh, dude, you're going to kick yourself.
I probably am. Hang on. Give me 1 second.
Don't look it up.
I'm not. Anthony, I don't know.
Thor. Odin.
Oh, of course. Yeah, I wasn't thinking Marvel. All right.
That's it.
All right. Great. Let's close it out.